Let's go behind the seams. Every week, I'm breaking down the who, the what, and the how we made all of my looks for RuPaul's Drag Race Season 18. Category is swept away. So we were instructed that this runway would be met with a giant wind machine at the top of the runway. Our task was to bring an outfit that would blow and look magical and amazing when blasted with wind, and to keep your wig and your eyelashes on. I had a hunch that a lot of the girls were gonna go in this sort of like goddess, blowy fabric, wispy, ethereal direction. That's a lot of what I saw when this runway happened on Canada's Drag Race, I think. So I wanted to take it in a completely different direction, tap into my horror roots. My inspirations for this design came from fusing the librarian ghost from Ghostbusters, who is like iconically burned into my brain from my childhood, with the beautiful Guillermo del Toro designs of Crimson Peak. The ghosts in that are iconically monochromatic. They have this amazing sort of grotesque face, but are living in these beautiful costumes, well, when they're wearing costumes. And I thought, okay, how can I take the color palette and the style of this librarian and get it in the world of Crimson Peak? The idea of being this specter, this haunted spirit blowing in the wind, very ethereal, seemed like it met the category, but in a way that I knew nobody else would think of. The base of this outfit is a wedding dress that I thrifted from Goodwill several years ago and photographed in drag before. Using Rit dye and acrylic airbrush paint, we were able to create this beautiful purple lavender color and add in this fuchsia veining and texture all throughout the dress. There is so much train on this wedding dress, so it took a lot of time to make sure that every inch of this dress was covered and detailed with the paint. I found the perfect trim at a fabric store in Chicago to line this veil that matched the trim that was already on the train. Beautiful purple and eggplant sequins really take it to this fantasy embellishment while living in this ghostly color palette. Now, one of the challenges that I had in this concept is I wanted this idea of having a beautiful face on the veil that would then blow away in the wind to reveal this decaying, gross prosthetic skull. I did a couple of different tests with this idea. First, I was melting different layers of mesh and tulle to create a form of my face that could sit in front, but it ultimately ended up being too heavy and wouldn't move away from the face with the wind machine. Then I tried to airbrush a face onto the veil, and once it was in front of my face, the features kind of got distorted. I knew that that effect wasn't going to sell as clearly on the runway as it might in a film or in a photo shoot, so it was up to me to figure out which version of this character are we seeing, the sad, lonely widow or the creepy, decaying zombie. In my mind, I wanted both. While the wedding dress was beautifully embellished already with beading and sequins that took the Rit dye marvelously, we of course had to add even more. My partner Christopher spent hours adding several different styles of sequins in purples and fuchsias and eggplants, rhinestones that were following the lines of bones and rib cages to add a lot of detail in a way that puts the corpse bride to shame. Now, this dress alone, while gorgeous and beautiful, still had to blow in the wind. That's the whole point. I wanted to feel like this gaseous, smoky specter floating in the wind, and the way that we achieved that was taking lightweight fabrics and cutting it into all of these shreds that were covering the entire outfit. I knew that when the wind caught this, it would almost look like I was on fire. I had a fog surrounding me. Each of these tendrils was airbrushed at the tip. I actually taught Christopher how to airbrush specifically to help with this part. And then we carefully cut and placed all of these shreds all over the outfit, so that way when the wind hits it, it blows marvelously. The part of the outfit that I did not expect to blow in the wind as fiercely as it did was the veil. I was worried the trim would hold it down, but it ended up creating this really beautiful billowing motion. So shooting this with Eric Magnuson meant that we got to play around with all of the fabulous shapes and textures. The cool part about this is the whole outfit doesn't just blow in the wind at one time. So depending on where we pointed the machine, we got all these different effects. I love how unique and special this was, and it definitely lives in the scary world of Ciara Myst. Thank you so much for going behind the seams of my swept away ghost couture. And if you want to see how I got this ghostly makeup look, don't forget to check out Runway Recreation. I'll see you next week. Bye.